a little more energy, to be honest with you, just because they're younger and they're all a little more bouncy and they want to do more stuff. So it was fun.
Now the Rockies certainly glad to have Nolan back in the lineup as they're batting just $170 without him in there. And Nolan very good against the Cubs through 32 games in his career. He has 27 ribbies. Drew, that's pretty good, right?
Yeah, he seems to be pretty good against everybody, and I cannot imagine, Taylor, thank you, that anybody would have more energy to play baseball than Nolan Arenado. Great to have him back. We are set for the homestand. It's the Rockies, it's the Cubs. Come on back to 20th and Blake with us. We welcome you to Coors Field on a chilly Friday night. The Rockies will play the Cubs 6 times over the next week and a half. The Cubs come in 8-8. The Rockies 11-9 through 20 ball games. John Gray will start the rotation through their 5th turn. Man, the season's moving along so quickly. And the Rockies have known cold weather. They've played in a lot of it. A couple of games in Pittsburgh in the snow, in fact. Yet they have not had a postponement. The Cubs have not been as fortunate. They've had 5 games postponed so far this year. Let's take a look at Joe Maddon's lineup. And it'll have Albert Almora Jr. leading off, then Javi Baez, who's really got hot. Chris Bryant, one of the top hitters in the game. Anthony Rizzo's off to a slow start. Wilson Contreras can really hit behind the plate. Kyle Schwarber in left, Addison Russell in short. Jason Hayward, who homered yesterday in a victory for the Cubs over St. Louis, will bat in front of Kyle Hendricks. And the numbers for John Gray: he's 1-3, and the ERA is high at 6.23. It seems to be a couple of things with John, either one inning or, believe it or not, Jeff, when he gets ahead of hitters, he's not putting them away like we're used to seeing.
No, ahead in the count when John is, they're hitting 417 off him when the Major League average is 195. The Pizza Ranch for the win is finish him, because you shouldn't be able to hit 323 average with 2 outs. And the other thing, in the last 2 ball games for John, he's allowed 12 earned runs, but 9 of them have come with 2 outs. That is just insane.
So here we go. First pitch of the night is hit through the hole. Oh man, did Story throw him out?
Oh my goodness. So he was
off the bag. was McMahon. What a play by Story. There's no way I thought he's even going to venture a throw. He gets the throw off, and I'm like, as I'm tracking it, he may be out.
He just gets over there, and then this jump throw, which is really hard to do. It takes incredible arm strength.
Wait a second.
This would be a better look on the Subaru
That foot's
Supermo.
on. That's what they're trying to see. Did the foot? Yeah, the foot came off. It's a good call. Yeah, it was a good call by Jordan Baker.
I think right now, too, what Bud is saying is they might not have the ability on replay. But still, Spilly, to even get it this close.
It looked like there was a double clutch too while he was regaining the ball in his hand to make the strong throw. Clearly his foot's off the bag.
Well, what everybody said, he's at least getting the umpires to get together.
It has to be something with the replay.
Greg Gibson, who's at third, is the crew chief.
A technical difficulty.
So it'll go as an infield hit for Almora. And here comes Javi Baez to the plate. Over his last 7, he's got an OPS of 1367. This is a dangerous guy. He's got a ton of bat speed. Fastball's outside, ball 1. Cubs beat the Cardinals yesterday 8-5 at Wrigley. They pounded out 14 hits. I saw a good portion of that ball game. They kind of nickel and dimed their way to an early significant lead. When I say nickel and dimed, it was, you know, this ball is launched to right center field with authority, and this is going to end up in the bullpen, and the Cubs are off to a quick start. Javi Baez with his 6th of the year. It's 2-0. 2 hitters in.
That's the 4th home run that John has given up, just the first to a right-handed batter.
Well, for John Gray, it's 3 pitches into the game. Looks like a slider down and away on the Subaru Supermo. And Javier Baez, who typically swings at the first pitch, got a first pitch fastball away well off the plate. You know he's itching to swing. That's Javi Baez's 5th home run this season against right-handed pitching.
Chris Bryant comes out. They're aggressive right now. That's the game plan, huh?
Yeah, they've 4 pitches now. We've seen 3 swings.
Well, you got to have a short memory, as we say in every sport. If you're John Gray, you just got to push that aside. You can still have a terrific outing. Just got to move past it. Bryant is behind 2 strikes. Gray's doing it again. He's going out of the stretch. Baez hit that ball the opposite way, 410 feet. He has 15 hits this year. 12 of them are extra base hits.
He's always had the power. It's just for Baez, sometimes he would expand the zone.
And then you get a chase swing on the slider. Ionetta will clear himself, 1 out. Take a look at the Rockies defensively. Gerardo Parra is going to start in right field for Cargo, who has a slight hamstring strain. And it's great to welcome back that 3rd baseman, Nolan. McMahon in the starting lineup at first base, as you saw in that stretch on Story's near miraculous play on Albert Almora. 1 out, 2 runs in. Here's Anthony Rizzo. He missed a couple of ball games, as that's a strike on the outer edge. Earlier in the year, he said he hurt his back on a hotel, sleeping in a hotel bed.
Heavenly bed.
Yeah, it didn't
It wasn't
sit
so
well with
heavenly.
Yeah, I'm not going to get a sponsorship from them now.
No, we weren't going to name hotels. This ball slashed to left field and making a running catch is Ian Desmond. It's a good play by 20. 2 outs.
Got a nice jump on that ball, especially off the bat of the lefty where it's slicing away from you.
And if he doesn't get a nice jump on that, Huey, I don't think he's making that play.
No.
He's one of the better young catchers in the game, Wilson Contreras. 23 home runs last year for the Cubs.
Well, I'm hoping that the first 2 runs that John Gray gave up is another wake-up call for him. I was taken back last week in the post-game press conference that John Gray mentioned. He said, listen, I'm 95% of the time focused, and that 5% he's missing out, and that's not something you should ever say. And I'm hoping that that can be a learning moment for him to realize you have to focus every single pitch 100% of the time if you're going to actually be the guy. Well, if you're not, this is what's going to happen.
Well, you make that mistake on one of those 5 pitches, it could be 2 or 3, 4 runs.
I mean, I love wake-up calls. I love wake-up calls at the big league level. I love that 3 pitches into the game, it's 2-0, and he strikes out Chris Bryant right after.
1-0 on Contreras. And this ball is in the air right at Charlie Blackmon. So the Cubs get 2, an infield hit by Almora Jr. and then Javi Baez with his 6th of the year to the opposite field. So the Rockies will work uphill initially against one of the great command guys in baseball, Kyle Hendricks. Take a look at the Rockies lineup against Hendricks tonight. DJ LeMahieu will lead it off, and then Chris Iannetta will be in that 2 spot. Charlie Blackmon to follow, then Nolan will bat cleanup in his return to the lineup after the 5-game suspension. Parra, Story, Desmond, McMahon, and John Gray. A couple notes about Hendricks. You know, he's had a lot of success. This year he's given up the long ball more frequently than in the recent past, and he's walking a few more guys. He's usually a guy that doesn't walk anybody.
This is a guy that relies on movement and command, and I think when you're watching it tonight, average fastball about 87 miles an hour, but keep this into mind. Hitters are hitting 105 against his changeup. It's a true wipeout changeup where it keeps everybody honest. So regardless of the velocity that Hendricks pitches with, the changeup keeps them all off balance.
DJ had a couple hits yesterday in the Rockies' loss, or 2 days ago, I should say, in the getaway day from Pittsburgh. It's a great road trip for the Rockies. Even though they're not hitting, they had pitched very well for the most part on the road trip. That's outside, 2-0. And Thus, they went 5-2 going to Washington. We know how talented they are. And then Pittsburgh, one of the hottest teams in baseball in the month of April to begin things. And they hadn't won a series in Pittsburgh, fellas, since 2011. So that was a great road trip.
When you hit under 200 on a road trip and you come away, like you said, with 5 victories, it tells you a little bit about your pitching and also what the relievers did. They locked it down. When you got that small lead, they locked it down.
Yes, they did. 3-0, and that's in there.
And that's not a misprint, folks. It's not supposed to say 95. 85 to 87 on the fastball. Some people, I'm sure, in this day and age are saying, wait, that can't be right.
No, it's right.
And on the outside corner, that's in there. So it's now 3-2. Hendricks, 28 years of age. Career .297 ERA. Got a lot of Greg Maddux in him. Not putting him in that class just yet, but he pitches a lot like Maddux did.
Yeah.
On the edges, everything's moving.
And Spilly talked about it already. The fastball, 87 miles an hour. That's the second lowest in the major leagues, but the 70%, that's the 8th highest in the major leagues. The usage.
DJ pokes one through the right side. Interesting alignment from Javi Baez, Spilly. Not only straight up, in fact, he had him slightly in a pull mode, which you almost never see with DJ.
That's because of the velocity for Hendricks, and for DJ, he's a magician with the barrel. One of the best at putting hard contact. This isn't hard contact. This is just take it where it is. It's too close to take, and I'm just going to punch it to right.
Because even the outfielders weren't shifted over.
Well, I understand it. You know, guys are going to get the barrel out on a guy who tops out, you know, at 87, 88 miles an hour. However, he's a guy that works away, and DJ takes everything that's away to right field. Glad it worked out.
Yeah, but you have to be aware. We just saw the back pick at first from Wilson Contreras. There's no fear in that guy.
There's no fear, and speaking of guys who work away, especially with the open side, it's a clear path. You know, drop a shin guard and fire to first. Iannetta slowly hit towards second. This will work as a sacrifice. Not a literal one. One out, and that'll bring up Blackman. Here's Chicago defensively. As you look at one of the better fielding shortstops in the game, Addison Russell. Schwarber trimmed down about 25 pounds, moving much better in left field. Now Mora Jr. in center, and Jason Hayward has 5 Gold Gloves in right. That kid can catch, as Huey was just saying. Wilson Contreras. So Blackman a chance for a ribby. He has 13 of them to lead the Rockies. That's up and in. Ball 1.
Well, defensively for the Cubs, it's been their calling card for the last couple of years, but this year they've already committed 14 errors. That's 21st worst in baseball.
Well, Baez has 4, and so does Chris Bryant. He has 4.
Good take from Charlie's ahead 2-0. Right now, Charlie's road number, 333 average, 7 home runs, which is most in baseball, 13 RBIs, tied for the most in baseball. The 12 runs scored, tied for the most in baseball among guys out on the road. This is just the 7th home game for the Rockies. They're tied with the Cardinals for fewest home games so far in the league. Cardinals are at home tonight playing Cincinnati under new manager
yeah.
Jim Riggleman. I think it's what is it, like the 4th time Jim Riggleman's been an interim manager.
Yep. Remember, he kind of walked away from the Washington thing back in 2011.
Yeah. This is pop foul out of play. Yeah, and I think there was some that speculated that he may never get a job again because he just walked away from.
Yeah, he wasn't happy with contract negotiations.
Right, and
so
he just said, hey, I'm done.
Cincinnati hired him. They went to manage in Double-A, and then worked his way back up to the staff.
Well, there's no question he's a great baseball
man. Yeah,
very well respected, as he should be. So right now he is leading the Cincinnati Reds. 2-2, 1 out. DJ at second, bottom of the first. In the top of the first, the Cubs got a 2-run home run from Javi Baez.
Charlie, career .318 hitter in April, 6th among active major leaguers. Let's see him pad his stats.
Hendricks making his 5th career start at Coors Field. He's been solid here. 1-1 record, 3.28 ERA in the 4 previous games at Coors Field. And a base hit to right. DJ a good read. Hayward can throw. And DJ's going to beat it. 2-1. Ball got away for a moment. And Charlie didn't think it got far away enough to advance. Blackman with his 14th RBI. Nice little counter punch in the bottom of the first.
And maybe the new look Rockies on the changeup on the Subaru Supermo reaches out, takes that top hand off. Didn't hit it all that square, but just enough to get it out to right field, allowing DJ to score from second. And the reason I say the new look Rockies is because I think we're going to see this for a little bit, this run, Billy, where DJ's leading off. You had Charlie third and then Nolan fourth.
I agree with you. And I think if there's any sort of adjustment that could be made is maybe you'll see DJ leading off with Charlie hitting second, only because it gives you more at-bats. You're guaranteeing Charlie will get at least 20, 30 more at-bats than a typical player.
This ball's driven to right and deep. Hayward looking up. Gone. Welcome back, Nolan Arenado. First pitch he sees, and the Rockies take a 3-2 lead.
Looks pretty good, Huey.
I think it looks great.
That's a return.
Can I tell you how much I missed in the last 5 games? Is it okay to say it?
This is also career home run number 150.
Subaru Supermo, fastball, belt high. Love the head discipline. It just goes down and it follows that barrel. You knew it had enough juice to get out there. What a return for Nolan.
We all know Nolan. Can you imagine what it was like as Parra steps in, hanging around Nolan the last 5 days in Scottsdale, Arizona?
That's why they got rid of him.
They sent him
They're
away.
like, go bother a bunch of other kids. Leave us alone.
Anybody else want to hit? I know I've been here for 11 hours today.
But conversely, though, think about the treat for those kids down at Extended.
Oh, sure.
To be able to pick his brain, talk to him, just watch his work ethic.
Well, Taylor had the great soundbite with him before the game, and he was talking about, you know, boy, those 16 and 17-year-olds have a lot of energy. And,
Yeah.
I'm like, hold on a second. Everybody's looking at you going, dude.
Yeah.
You're the one with all the energy. First pitch, bomb to right. His 2nd home run of the year. His first came opening day, if you recall, down in Arizona. 2-2 on Parra. And there's the 150-plus home run club with the Rockies. Pretty good group. Is gone. 2nd out of the inning, and that'll bring up Trevor Story. There's so many great things about that. Beyond the obvious. The Rockies take the lead. Nolan comes back. They have 3 runs. Guys, their first 6 games at home, they went 2-4. That's what they average per game. 3 runs. This is a team that's used to averaging better than 6 runs a game at Coors Field.
Well, and it's 2. It's kind of lets John reboot.
It does let John reboot.
Okay.
That's a great observation.
You say, oh yeah, but now I've got a 1-run lead. Now it cleared my mind. Whatever happened in the first inning, now it's time. But we're just trying to think. Also, just 3 hits in 1 inning. how kind of rare that is.
Well, we did a little quick research before the ball game because we were chatting. I'm like, I can't remember the Rockies having 3 consecutive hits in a game. We looked it up. It's happened only twice this year, and Spilly was in the first week of the season.
First week of the season, you had a game against the Diamondbacks, and then you had a game in San Diego against Clayton Richard in the first inning. And
that's it.
We haven't seen it since. And
3 straight hits.
We still haven't.
They still haven't seen it, but
Right.
at least we got 3 out of 4.
2-1 on Story. Story had a nice series in Pittsburgh, 5 for 10. And he got clipped.
Good thing for the elbow guard. Came up, got right on the left elbow on the Subaru Supermo.
And I know it used to be frowned upon. It was a macho thing with players. Even, you know, Spilly as recently as when you were playing, it certainly was that way in Huey's day and age. But now, especially if you're throwing, if you hit from the opposite side and use your throwing arm, I think you got to protect your elbow.
Especially as hard as guys throw now. I mean, not Hendricks. That's not going to hurt,
but a pitcher has to command inside part of the plate, and hitters need to be able to allow them to have the inside part of the plate too, or at least attempt to throw in there. And if you're not protecting yourself,
Check swing roller to short from Desmond, and Russell will throw him out to end the inning. The Rockies end up with 3 hits. The big blow, a Nolan Arenado welcome back. 2-run home run to right, and through 1, the Rockies have a 3-2 lead against the Cubs. A little bit.
sure you had a DJ come out for batting practice.
Yep. And first pitch he sees, he lines out of the ballpark over the auxiliary scoreboard. This is Kyle Schwarber. He takes ball 1. Rockies put a shift on for the pull hitter. Schwarber, Addison Russell, Jason Hayward, 6 through 8 in the Cubs lineup. Schwarber, when you watch him on TV, you have to double check and go, who is that? Because he is 25 pounds lighter than last year. He looks great.
He's in great shape. I'm not saying that he wasn't in shape before. But also remember, he blew out his ACL.
Sure, and this is a former catcher converted to the outfield. And if you remember, his first adventure in the outfield was in an opening game against the Diamondbacks, and it was Dexter Fowler, who's the center fielder of the Cubs, running into him.
That's a 4-pitch walk for John to Kyle Schwarber, not how he wanted to start the second inning. Well, there's a difference in the body types from a year ago to this season.
Changed the way he ate. I mean, you hear about that, but you're right. If you're going to move around in the outfield, it's a lot different than what you have to do behind the plate. So Kyle recognized the fact, and he's hitting 245 playing left field.
Here's Addison Russell. He's been walking a little bit more this year and striking out less in the early going.
You got this kid from Oakland, and I thought when they did that, that was a great trade for the Cubs.
Former first-round pick of the A's. He got to the big leagues at a really tender age. 1-1.
Looking at some of the numbers for the Cubs, they lead all of baseball in batting average against fastball, velocity over 94 miles an hour. They hit 342 as a unit, but against off-speed pitches, they're at the bottom. So you'd like to see John Gray being able to command his secondary pitches right away.
There's his slider. It's well off the plate. 2-1.
I think that's why they ambushed him in the first inning, because John, his average fastball is 95.6, which is third highest among National League starters. Noah Syndergaard's #1 at 97.2. They said, well, if he's going to throw his fastball, I'm going to hit it. And even the slider that he threw to Javi Baez was just a spinner.
You still have to trust your fastball. You still have to locate it. It's not like you have to shy away from a fastball because it's a good fastball hitting team. A well-located fastball, nobody's going to really touch that. We know that, Huey.
Yeah.
The fastball a guy hits is belt high and above, pretty much center cut.
This is in the air to right. Parra coming on. And that's out #1 in the second. They'll bring up Jason Hayward.
He had a long, long home run yesterday in Wrigley Field.
I'll tell you a little bit more about this home run that you're watching. He got on top of a high fastball, and that was damaged. That home run was the second longest home run of his career. And he swings at a pitch beneath the knees. 0-1. 304 lifetime average against the Rockies. One out, Schwarber at first. Here's the 0-1. He held up. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Cubs have made the playoffs 3 straight years. Never in their history have they made it 4 straight, and they've won a ton of games, more than anybody else the last 3 years. 97 and 2016, of course, they won it all, winning 103 during the regular season. And then even last year, after a somewhat slow start, they ended up with 92 victories. There's only 3 teams in the National League that have played 500 or better against the Cubs. Nolan's going to try to take it himself. Have an interesting decision, and I don't know. It probably may have been the fastest way to try and do it.
You know what? I think if he had to do it again, he might flip it to Trevor. And watch Nolan. He was even moving before that pitch, but Trevor's right there already. He's ready to go, and so it took him an extra 3 or 4 steps to get over there. While he's running to the bag, what's Jason Hayward doing? He's also running towards first base.
Faster than Nolan's running towards second.
Yeah.
You know, seeing it again, I think you're right. Had he flipped it, they would have had a better chance.
The only reason I say that because Trevor was standing right on the bag.
Yep. Kyle Hendricks takes a strike. To finish that thought, there's only 3 teams the last 3 years in the National League to have played 500 or better baseball against the Cubs. And the best of that group, the Colorado Rockies, they've got 9-4 against Chicago the last 3 years. They went 5-2 last year. The Dodgers have a winning record against the Cubs. And somewhat surprisingly, another NL West team, it's the Padres who've got 9-9 against the Cubs the last 3 years. Everybody else is south of 500. 0-2.
You could have given me 18, 19, 20 guesses, and I wouldn't have guessed the Padres.
No, I'm with you.
I'd have gone through 27 other teams.
Including the Iowa Cubs.
Yeah.
Two and two.
When Nolan was running past Trevor's story after he took it to himself, Huey, what do you think Trevor said to him?
Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, you let
Ball
Nolan.
hog?
Yeah, probably.
And now it's full on Hendricks. That was pretty close. Vic Carapazza. Both ways, because I noticed it with Hendricks. He's a guy who needs the East and West strike called. Really wasn't getting it in the first inning.
No, in the Subaru Supermo, the mask is kind of the high water mark for a catcher.
On the ground, right at Story. He'll go the long way. In the inning, there was a walk and a man left. As we go to the bottom of the second, the Rockies have a 3-2 lead.
For the Cubs, Kyle Hendricks, they call him the Professor, and it was a nickname that was actually started by his Spanish teammates. They called him El Profesor due to the fact that he is a Dartmouth grad, so pretty smart, but also because of his approach on the mound. Like we've been talking about all night, he's never going to be a guy who beats you with his velocity, but he's just very intelligent with his overall approach, getting those pitches in the strike zone, guys. So Drew, you mentioned how he's very similar to Greg Maddux, who also had the nickname the Professor.
Yeah, you know what, Taylor, you're right. They both were nicknamed the Professor. Greg Maddux went on to win, what, 353 games? Is that what
Every
the
time he
final
went
total
out, I
was?
think.
He's the luckiest guy who ever pitched.
Yeah.
It was
The other team never hit when he pitched.
That's right. Ryan McMahon at the plate, batting 8th in front of John Gray. Got a list of current Ivy Leaguers we're going to show you in a moment. So there's a kid from Harvard right now, Brent Suter, in the big leagues. Last guy from Penn, Mark DeRosa, who makes us laugh every morning on
Makes you laugh.
MLB. No, I love D-Row. Princeton's got 2 right now, Danny Barnes and Matt Bowman. And they have a guy that Huey played against. I believe he played against Scott Bradley.
Yeah, head coach at Prince.
Scott Bradley's longtime head coach at Princeton.
Left-handed
former big
catcher.
leaguer.
That wore no batting gloves.
See, you remember everything.
Yeah.
So you can hit.
So you can hit. Yeah, it was more of a hitting catcher.
1-2. That's fouled off.
I was interested in what degree Hendricks got when he went to Dartmouth. He was an econ major. Actually took him a couple years after he signed, originally drafted by the Texas Rangers, and he used his opportunity in the offseason to finish his degree.
1-2, and this is on the ground to second. McMahon is retired.
But for Hendricks is a San Juan Capistrano guy from California, so typically you don't see guys travel from California to an Ivy League school back east.
Not so fast.
Not from where I'm from.
Maybe from Santa Barbara, but
we stay in town. We go to the junior colleges.
they get people from all 50 states, probably every country in the world virtually. How many GMs, guys, do you think went to an Ivy League school?
Every
Obviously, we
one
know
of them.
Jeff Bridich went to Harvard.
I think every one of them.
Got to be a smart guy to be a GM. How about 13?
13?
13 of the 30 either went as an undergraduate or got a graduate degree from an Ivy League school. That wasn't the case 30 years ago.
No.
Do they have online courses?
Are you thinking of applying? You have that one credit left.
Is there like a
Spanish.
Harvard online school I could do?
Are you thinking of? Oh, that's down the right field line. Extra bases for Gray, we think. Yeah, that gets around the corner. And John will stop at second with a double. So John Gray with a 467-foot home run with a one-out double right down the first base line.
Stayed on top of that, stayed through it. That's a good swing from John Gray. Playing off the line, sneaks it inside the bag. And here's where I thought it was going to get real tricky, right down in this corner. If that got around that spiller, you played this corner many, many times, you could end up chasing that for days.
You have to go and really force yourself into the corner, because that little overhang where the pads, the ball will go straight under and roll and rattle around. We've seen inside the park home runs happen from visiting outfielders.
I'll tell you what, you could have seen the rarest of things, and that was a pitcher with an inside the park home run. The perennial Gold Glove right fielder did a great job of just batting at that baseball. And Big John can run a little bit. Here's DJ. He had a base hit his first time up. 1-1.
I've heard you say sometimes you would almost like put your foot over there.
Yeah, you've seen guys. I mean, Rockies outfielders that have played here in the past in right field. I'm sure you can remember Larry Walker. You have to literally jam your glove under there because the ball will go and fit perfectly.
Pitch. DJ tried to open his hips on and drive out of the ballpark. He did that 3 times on the recently completed road trip. His 5 home runs, just like Charlie's 7 home runs, have all come out on the road. In fact, the Rockies have 27 home runs this year, 20 away from Coors Field. Rockies up 3-2. Trying to get another run here.
Trying to drive some runs in. On this last road trip, they were 4 for 37 with runners in scoring position. That's just 108 at Coors Field. 206. So for the season, 211 overall, which is 24th in the major leagues. You know those numbers are going to flip. Just win.
This is on the ground to Russell. 2 outs, and that'll bring up Iannetta. Fans, join in on the conversation tonight and every night. Send us your questions, comments, photos perhaps. Use Twitter and include the hashtag ToyotaTalk. Iannetta hit a ground ball to second in his first plate appearance. Gave the Rockies a 1-0 lead on Wednesday with a home run. Unfortunately, the game got away from the Rockies. Kyle Freeland was gone in the 5th inning.
Kyle just had trouble locating his fastball.
That's
And then the two-out walk too. That one got him.
He's had a high pitch count so far, and he's given up some home runs.
That was an 83, 84 mile an hour changeup that he gave up yesterday, or Wednesday, I should say.
That's a pitch that Sean Rodriguez hit out. 2 outs, Gray at second with his 4th career extra base hit.
Growing trend in baseball is paying attention to pitchers going through the lineup second and third time through. For Kyle Hendricks, it's 304 batting average second time through compared to 167 for guys that see him the first time.
Just clipped the outside portion of the Subaru strike zone. A bit better look on the overhead.
Kind of interesting. Iannetta tonight facing Hendricks for the first time in his career.
We would have thought at some point in the last 2 or 3 years.
Got the night off.
Maybe did.
Now keep in mind, last year with Arizona, they were utilizing 3 catchers. You had Jeff Mathis there, and you also had
Chris Herman,
who could play the outfield, go behind the plate. He didn't make Arizona out of spring training this year. Two and two. This is why with the suspension to Nolan, Chris has been inserted in that 2 spot because he works counts. And he's always been a good on-base percentage guy.
And he can take you deep.
Yes, he
over
can.
the fence.
On the pitch, not on the swing. That'll end the inning. Gray doubled. He's left at second. We'll go to the 3rd. The Rockies up 3-2 on a Nolan Arenado 2-run homer. Brought to you by Subaru. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. By UC Health, live extraordinary. And by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo customers get your 2-for-1 Rockies club level tickets by visiting wellsfargo.com/Rockies. Top of the 3rd inning, Rockies leading the Cubs 3-2. First meeting this year between the Rockies and Chicago's Northsiders. Nolan Arenado, a 2-run home run on the first pitch he saw, coming off his 5-game suspension with Jeff Houston, Ryan Spilborghs, and Taylor McGregor. I'm Drew Goodman. Glad you're with us tonight. This game being played under foreboding skies, but no precipitation, fortunately. Neither team hit out on the field. The tarp was on from the late afternoon till about 45 minutes before game time.
You just listened to the forecast this morning. You thought there's no way you're going to play tonight. It was supposed to start raining at 11 and not stop till 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Yep.
But here we are.
Here we are. Here's Albert Almora Jr., who reached on an infield hit. First pitch of the game. Trevor Story almost made a spectacular play to get him out at first. A jump throw. This is in the air off the end of the bat to shallow right as it dropped. Broken bat single for Almora, who's now 7 for his last 14. And that brings us to BABIP, one of Philly's favorite topics.
Okay, here we go.
Batted ball in play. The major league average for batted ball in play at the end of virtually every season is right around 300. In fact, last year, for all balls put in play, the average, if you added them all up, was 300, right on the nose. Right now, the average for batted balls in play against John Gray is 391, which is the highest among starters in Major League Baseball. True sabermetricians, as this is Javi Baez, and he swings as he's prone to it the first pitch and fouls it off.
I'm not a true sabermetrician.
I know you're not, but I would say that John Gray has been really unlucky because that number should go back to the mean, which is 300, and it's almost 100 points above that. How much do you buy in, Ryan Spilbles?
Well, it all depends on how hard the balls are being hit, and so I'll do a quick search and tell you the average velocity off the bat on John Gray is league average, about 90 miles an hour. So
in the air to left, and that'll drop. Those are two balls basically off the end of the bat. Doesn't matter because you have 2 men on and nobody out. But the contact was well beneath 90 miles an hour off the bat.
So we could say he's been a little bit unfortunate, a little bit unlucky. But at the same time, when you're looking at some of the numbers with 2 strikes and guys hitting with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, those averages are up. And that just lets you know, too, if the balls are elevated, if the ball is middle thigh to belt high, regardless of the soft contact, that's where the hits come from.
Well, this is where, as Chris Bryant steps in, this is where John, like all young pitchers, has to learn to slow the game down. If it speeds up, that's typically where you make mistakes, and you're not in the part of the lineup where you want to make a mistake.
When you speed up this game, you try harder, you try to do more, you try to throw harder. I want to throw a better slider. And so I think that's been somewhat of the issue for John. You know, he feels a little unlucky with these 2 balls that have been hit. As we see the second time through, okay, but the third time is when it really starts to show up. But I think a lot of it has to do with his slider. You know, we know about his fastball, but his slider is getting hit at 344 this year, which is incredibly high. See, that one he took a little bit more off. That was more of the curveball. Which is 82. You know, his slider is 88 to 90. Right in the Subaru Supermo, you don't see that tighter spin. You see that 12 to 6 kind of drop. And the reason I was talking about his slider being hit at 344, well, last year it was hit at 167.
That's right.
Year before that, 171.
There's a lot of things you could point to and be hopeful that, again, John's got great stuff. And typically in his still very young career, April's been his worst month.
Yes. So you can point at April, and for some guys, I mean, we've heard Jake McGee talk about his fastball coming at the end of May. Sometimes for guys, it's a slider feel. It might take them 5, 6, 7 starts.
Got to make a pitch here. 1 and 2, 2 on, nobody out. That's a great, as Beth said, it's a great block, but everybody's going to move up. So it's a wild pitch, as it did get past Chris Iannetta. That's a very difficult pitch to block. That bounced near the grass. This was overamped, way overamped.
He tried to get Chris Bryant to swing and miss again, get him for the second time tonight, and he just spiked what looks like a curveball. Bryant on the season is 5 for 10 with runners in scoring position. Good job by Moore reading that ball in the dirt.
Now the double plays no longer an option. 2-2 on Bryant. Fastball's off the plate. 3-2.
And that's a pitch where you have Chris Bryant. You're in between, and if you make a competitive pitch, a well located, just maybe closer to the plate, you could get a swing and miss. Now 3-2. Swings back in the hitter's favor.
And he loses them, so now the bases are loaded, nobody out. Second walk in the game for Gray. He got ahead 1-2, and we were talking about slowing the game down. And clearly, those 3 pitches had a little too much adrenaline involved in them, don't you think?
Yeah, try to overthrow him. You know, 2 things happen when you try to overthrow a pitch. One, you'll hang it, or the other one, you'll spike it. There's really no in between with those 2 pitches.
Here's Anthony Rizzo. He lined the ball toward the left field corner that was chased down nicely by Ian Desmond for the second out in the first inning. The Rockies in a pickle here in the third.
Well, in the Cubs' 8 wins this season, Drew, the Cubs are hitting .306 and average about 9 runs per game. In their 8 losses, it's a .182 batting average and just a hair under 2. This is a big inning for John and a big at bat.
This should be 2. It will be. And right before he swung at that pitch, as the Cubs tie it up, no RBI obviously for Rizzo. I was about to say, in these situations, if you could get out of there, if you told John Gray you're going to get out of here giving up 1 run, he'd take it every time.
So did a manager.
Well, that was the 22nd double play that the Rockies had turned. They were tied with Atlanta coming into today's ball game for the National League lead.
Key is to get Contreras here with Baez at third. Be careful with Baez because he runs the bases like he swings the bat with
reckless
abandon. Yeah, with reckless abandon. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I mean, Baez a live wire. He's a guy you want on your side.
What do you say, Spilly? He plays with his hair like he's playing with his hair on fire.
I love guys like that.
Yep.
His teammates love it too.
Yes,
I know
they do.
He's been taking some criticism from other teams. And I know just this week, somebody asked Ben Zobrist, hey, have you talked to Javi Baez? You know, tell him to turn it down a bit. He goes, why?
Right. High energy.
Kyle Schwarber.
Why would I say anything?
Kyle Schwarber was asked after yesterday's game about Baez. He had a home run yesterday. And here's the 2-0. And he said, you know, we end up talking a lot about Javi Baez, and we love it. He said because he's a leader. He does a lot of great things on the field, and I want to keep talking about him.
Yeah, what would you rather have? High energy guy that maybe does some things on the baseball field that you might scratch your head at, or somebody that's not putting the same amount of lethargic effort? I mean,
he loves
take
to
that.
play. Yeah,
I'll take that.
2-1 in the air towards shallow right. Getting there is Parra. And all in all, a good job by John Gray. Bases loaded, nobody out. He got the double play ball. So we'll go to the bottom of the third, tied up, 3 apiece. pitch coming off the suspended list to Nolan Arenado, ended up a souvenir. And it also gave the Rockies at the time a 3-2 lead. So our T-Mobile built for baseball. Nolan Arenado was certainly built to play baseball. He'll bat second this inning, 3, 4, and 5 for the Rockies to face Hendricks in a 3-3 game. Blackman, Arenado, and Parra. Charlie had a single to right to drive in LeMahieu in the first. His 14th RBI, which leads the club.
Just hitting out of the 3 spot in the lineup. This is his 6th game tonight. 7 for 20. 3 home runs, 8 RBIs.
First part of spring, this is where he was hitting. And then Cargo re-signed. And so the Rockies went back to their most frequently used lineup from a year ago, with Charlie up top and Cargo in the middle of the lineup.
So think about where the Rockies are right now. They're 11-9, so they played 20 games. This is their 21st tonight. They really haven't played but 10 games with these 2 guys in the lineup at the same time.
Yeah. And
Is Charlie with his back?
And Cargo, we all talked to him earlier today. His hamstring was not a serious issue, and fortunately it was lower on the hamstring, which is better. And he told Buddy he could pinch hit if he needed to tonight. He thinks it's not going to be long before he's back, which you always worry about back of the leg injuries.
And for Cargo, he's been running great this season. He looks great.
Looks
running
tremendous.
The
Right.
catch he had the other day in Wednesday's game in Pittsburgh.
Charlie strikes out. That's the 3rd strikeout for Hendricks. That'll bring up Nolan.
The Subaru StatCast for Nolan and his home run. You see the launch angle, the exit velocity, distance. Just like the number though of 1 home run, a couple RBIs in his first at bat.
You know what's interesting about that home run also? Most of Nolan's home runs career-wise have been on the pull side. Most of his hits this year have been to right because teams have been wearing him out away. This one is just foul. Been interesting. And so he got a pitch away and he drove it out of the yard away.
It's the evolution of a good hitter. And when you understand what the league is trying to do to you before they are having the ability to make the adjustment, that's what Nolan wants. He wants the league to see that he's taking his hits, hitting it opposite field, getting some power numbers out there, the occasional opposite field home run, but waiting for them to come back and challenge him in.
1 and 2. It's the 2nd homestand for the Rockies this year. They lost a series to the Padres, a series to the Atlanta Braves earlier in the season, so they're 2 and 4 at home. Rockies won 3 of the 5 games in Nolan's absence. Now full. Nolan drives this to center, but right at Almora. 2 outs, and Parra will take his turn. Gerardo came into the ballgame Wednesday after the injury to Cargo. Cargo stayed in after that diving catch, and then came out between innings. So he had 3 plate appearances, did Parra, and he had a double on Wednesday, also a walk. double. His only hit in his last 16 at bats, however.
And that was in the 8th inning.
This is the part of the order the Rockies need to get going. Really the 4 through 9 spots in the order, because typically Nolan's been batting third. 4 through 9 in the order this year, hitting 181.
On base percentage is just 240.
Two, and maybe more importantly than any of the other numbers is Huey, the slugging percentage at 302.
Well, that, and also I kind of look at the strikeouts too, of 140.
The Rockies right now are leading baseball in hitting a home run a little more than every 24 at bats as Parra strikes out, but they're also striking out at a very high clip. 1-2-3 inning for Hendricks. His first of the game will go to the 4th. It's 3-all. Out there in left field, staying bundled up. I don't know if you caught this the other day. Anthony Rizzo, after another Chicago game, either was canceled or they played in miserable weather, he said, in a perfect world, we start the season later and play a few scheduled doubleheaders going into an off day. As a fan, you're going to a baseball game in April and it's raining, snowing, and freezing rain. Is it really that much fun? That's my question. And so we have a question for you as well tonight, as Kyle Schwarber is at the plate, takes ball 1. Take us to our CenturyLink poll question of the night. Schwarber walked his first time up on 4 pitches, and he bounces this one to left for a single. So 4 innings and 4 times the leadoff man has reached against John Gray. Here's the CenturyLink high-speed challenge question. Go to AT&T Sportsnet RM on Twitter to cast your vote. How many games should the baseball season be? As you know, it's currently 162. Back prior to, what was it, 60 or 61, they played 154. Minor leagues play in the neighborhood of 144.
Japan plays 144 games.
Addison Russell at the plate. Well, guys, what do you think?
No brainer. It's 154 games.
What do you say, Huey?
I say 162.
You have no brain.
Right, okay.
Well, I'm also realistic about this. I mean, I think the 154 number is going to be a great play by Nolan to get the lead runner. Made an accurate throw. A lot of third basemen, I think, will go across the diamond there and not risk going across their body. That's a terrific play not to give up 90 feet by Arenado.
He made a strong throw to DJ, who also acted like a first baseman instead of a second baseman. So I say 162. Spilly says 154. How about you, Drew?
I say 162 because that's where we're at, and I don't see it changing because there's too many dollars that would be lost from an ownership standpoint. And you know, the players also, you know, if you're going to play 8 less games, you're not going to make the same paycheck.
I agree with that. I mean, from the perspective of a former player looking at 154 games versus 162, we're looking at health, we're looking at the extended days off, you're looking at opportunities for more guys to have extended careers, and that means dollars for them down the road too. Now, you say what you will, 8 games off doesn't make that big of a difference. I would actually argue it does.
I think the ideal number is 154.
It's
Because I
already been
think you
said.
certainly would know after 154 games the teams that are worthy of playing in the postseason. It would be more days off. You know, hopefully the quality improves. I think the quality is great in Major League Baseball, but you'd have fresher guys. The reason I said 162 like Huey is I just don't see the union and ownership ever agreeing to slice the season by 8 games, because when it comes to dollars, you know, nobody wants to give.
Yeah, if Anthony Rizzo went to the Cubs and said, hey, let's play a couple double headers scheduled to say, hey, you know how many millions we're going to lose by scheduling a double header?
2-0, and that's fouled off.
And I know you've talked about it before, you and I, Spilly, as far as you're also, though, in favor of, even if they stayed at 162, having a 28-man roster where you could designate your 25 guys for that night.
I'm just looking for opportunities to keep guys healthy longer. Whether it's a reliever that's pitched 3 or 4 straight days in a row, or a guy that's day-to-day with a hamstring, that almost had him.
Well, I think Ryan McMahon wants Brian Jones to take a look at that. Addison Russell, that was close.
Subaru Supermo, does he get the tag?
Oh, he
I
got
think
him.
he did.
he's
I think
out.
he's out.
It's hard to see where his hand is, but it looks like it's still traveling to the bag. This one may be more definitive. They are going to look at it. Probably have to see it the third angle.
This is going to be the best one, I think.
Slow down, slow down. What do we got? Wow. Let's go back a few frames if we can, fellas.
Right
Let's
there,
see.
right? The tag.
Contact now. Yeah, his fingers are.
Yeah, it's still off.
Yeah, he's out. Crowd thinks he's out.
Well, anything to get the Cubs fans riled up.
Yeah. If you're coming out this weekend, you better outshout those Cubby fans. Joe Madden looks concerned. What do the good folks in New York think? Out. That's a pickoff of Addison Russell by John Gray. 2 outs.
What a tag, too, from Ryan. And he's in perfect position with his right foot.
It's great. Yeah, you can see it.
See, his right foot, you want to put that about halfway on that bag so you can pivot. If you have it locked against the bag, you can't make that pivot to apply a tag.
Two-one on Hayward. 2-2. Hey, what else is opens up the possibility of? If he can get Hayward here, now you have the pitcher next inning leading off the inning, which is what you'd like to have if you were John Gray. 3-2. Isn't that great command of the slider tonight?
That's why you're seeing more curveballs. I like the location on the Subaru Supermo, though. Away for some power of Hayward, but also down in the Subaru strike zone.
Another 3-2, and he lost him.
Third walk tonight for John.
That'll bring up Hendricks.
Don't forget your $1 hot dogs. First 10,000 fans through the gates at the Padres-Rockies game next Tuesday will receive a coupon
For that tasty sandwich.
for that. It is not a sandwich. We had the poll question last week about it. It's Nathan's famous $1 hot dog next Tuesday. First 10,000 fans through the gates.
It's a sandwich.
It's a swinging bunt. Gray makes a good throw. Hendricks retired. There was a hit and a walk in the inning. No harm done. Middle of 4. Rockies 3, Cubs 3. Coors Field. Participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day. Do it between 4 and 6 to receive your Rockies Taco Special Live Mas at Taco Bell. Drew Goodman, Ryan Spielborgs, Jeff Hewson, Taylor McGregor on a chilly Friday night at Coors Field. First of 3 between the Rockies and Cubs. Padres come in on this homestand again. And then the Rockies will have a long 10-day road trip that will take them to Miami, Chicago to play the Cubs again, and then on to New York to play one of the hottest teams in baseball, the Mets. Rockies will have Trevor Story leading off in the 4th inning. He was hit by a pitch his first time up.
Mets are tied up with Atlanta right now, 3-3 in the 8th. Both those clubs are playing pretty good baseball.
Big story in New York, at least in the borough of Queens, is what to do with Matt Harvey.
Bullpen.
Well, Mickey Callaway, their new manager, who has a pitching background, was non-committal as to whether he would stay in the rotation. After his performance yesterday in Atlanta, he gave up 6 runs in 6 innings.
He's Dougie Wesley, 2 games under 500 in his career. Yeah, or 3 games, 34 and 37 for Matt Harvey in his career.
Yeah, and you know, with the hype and the stuff, you know, you'd think he'd 25 games over 500.
He won double digits one time.
Story takes ball 1.
Ever hit by the pitch on his left elbow. That's first plate appearance.
That is slam and foul.
So as a hitter, when you're facing a guy with low velocity, a lot of movement, he's the type of pitcher that you have to respect changeup, but you also have to trust your hands. 87 miles an hour is not going to blow your doors off. And so when you're looking as a hitter, you basically give away the inside portion of the plate.
Let me ask you this. Would you, with a guy like Hendricks and how you described his arsenal, would you move up in the box at all?
You can, but some guys just don't feel confident moving out of their spot.
Trevor's in the back of the box.
Like, look, if I push you in this broadcast booth a half an inch over,
We're fighting.
We're fighting. You have to scoot over back in your spot.
Yeah. I get it.
It's like kids in the back seat of the car. You know, they like their spot.
That's right.
Right?
One kid always sat behind mom. The other kid always sat behind dad.
Yeah.
Well, tonight, Dougie is sitting behind us, and he's completely lost.
Actually, let's clarify. More lost than normal. 3-2.
What happens, you know, Johnny's in my spot. Get him out of there. That's how hitters feel. I will say this. I've seen some guys try to go up maybe a half an ounce or an ounce on their bat. I think that would be more logical.
Sure.
But even where Trevor is, you see where he's got
not
his toe.
moving.
No, he's got his toe hold back there.
It's like sitting in your dad's spot on the couch. Like, what are you doing in that spot?
Well, you remember when you're growing up, you play on some fields where you had to stay in one spot because that was the spot. That was where the spot was dug out.
It's the only spot available.
Yeah, it was a little easier for you, Huey, being a left-handed hitter.
Yeah,
Because there's usually more dug out on
yeah.
the right-handed side of the plate. Another 3-2. And Story is caught looking.
Bottom of the Subaru strike zone, clearly. Right in there.
He has struck out 4 of the last 5. He and Desmond had a check swing roller to short.
The other thing, too, I think, Spilly, is with a guy like this, you're so concerned with east and west. Sometimes you lose sight of up and down because you're leaning out over the edge thinking, well, he's going to attack me away. And so you lose a little bit of perspective, I think, north and south.
Well, there's a reason why this is the 3rd lowest active ERA in Major League Baseball in the last couple of years. Only Clayton Kershaw and Chris Sale are ahead of him. You mentioned he had a 2.97 ERA. You know, with the stuff that he has, people are going to say, how is that even possible? But it's because he knows how to pitch. He has a feel. He understands what hitters are feeling at the plate.
1-1 on Desmond. And called strike 1-2.
I think home plate umpire Vic was a little overzealous with that last call because I think he was trying to call him out, and it's only strike 2. Just watch Vic and his reaction on the Subaru Supermo. He kind of goes up there. We didn't have it, but like it was strike 3.
Desi got off to a terrific start the first 5-6 games. And since then, it's been tough. He had that huge home run in Washington to beat his former club. But he's only 3 for his last 50 at the plate.
It was 2 for 25 on that road trip. That one was huge, though. Won him a game.
Yes, it did.
So the Rockies as a unit are hitting below 138 with 2 strikes. That is the worst in Major League Baseball. And when we're looking at some of the numbers for the Rockies, I mean, the number that stands out the most to me, guys, is the 285 team on base percentage. .285.
You know those numbers will turn, not because you say, well, they're way too low based on what the resumes of these hitters would suggest and what they did just a year ago. 2 outs. A year ago, they led all of baseball in batting average, just under 280. So the fact that they're last right now at 214, you know, it's going to change. The good news is, again, through 20 games, they're over 500 despite those poor offensive numbers. And the runs per game at home, in just 6 games, they didn't score a lot in that first homestand, but they average typically around 6 runs a game at Coors Field. 2 outs, nobody on for Ryan McMahon. Seven in a row retired by Hendricks since the double down the right field line by John Gray.
So I was listening to Alex Cora talk about the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox this year are 16-2, and what the Houston Astros, what he brought over to the Red Sox was look down the middle, and regardless of the count and regardless of the type of pitch it is, fire away. Anything on the edges, take it. And it's been interesting watching the Red Sox because they've taken this approach and it's actually helped them. We're looking high average, high slug.
This ball hooked to first. It's going to be a 1-2-3 inning. When we come back, and we'll have a short little break, that man, Bud Black, will join us from the Rockies dugout in a 3-3 ball game. Kind enough to spend a few moments with us. Buddy, interesting start to this ball game. How did you see it from your perspective?
Well, they jumped on us early with the opposite field homer by Baez. We came right back, got on their guy, and Nolan hit a big one. That was nice to see. Him back in there contributing right away. So John's battling through it, trying to hang in there. Their guy's doing the same. We got his pitch count up a little bit. But he's changing speeds, throwing the fastball decent spots, and you know, John got the big double play ball by Riz, which was a big play for us.
Kind of looks like tonight John might not have the slider, going to a few more curveballs.
Yeah, agree. Wasn't real good in the bullpen, Fossey said, but he said the curveball was pretty good. And just talking to Chris in between innings, he feels the same way. We got to get the slider going if we can, but curveball's been pretty effective. Fastball has velocity, located inconsistently, but you know, John's battling.
Nolan never ceases to amaze, does he?
That's right. Made a good play on that when he charged and got the force out at second. That was a good play. That enabled us to pick off Russell, so that was a good one.
Absolutely. Buddy,
Thanks,
good luck
buddy.
the rest of the way. Thank you.
All right, guys.
Top of the order in the 5th inning for the Cubs. Almora Jr. with a couple of hits. Javi Baez also with a couple of hits, and then Chris Bryant. And this ball toward the gap in left center field, and Desmond gets over there and makes the catch.
Boy,
Tell you what, Huey, off the bat, I thought that was a tweener.
I was going to say the same exact thing. I thought that was going to fall in between, roll to the wall, double, possible triple. But we saw Desi go to the line and make a catch off the bat of Anthony Rizzo, and now off of Almora, he gets a good jump and actually had to kind of slow down a little bit. And it looked like for a brief second he might have lost the ball in the bank of lights, as how he kind of turned his body.
Here's Baez, 2-run home run and a single. Takes a strike. He's been red hot. Last 8 ball games, hitting close to 400. Huey, let me ask you, because you ran out there in the outfield a little bit. You were a terrific athlete. Talking about Desmond, he makes it look real easy, going from the dirt to the outfield and then back again.
It's not that easy, but he does. We've seen it at first, and we've seen it at left. Subaru StatCast kind of up by his head for Baez.
And Baez with his 3rd hit. Hard turn, he's looking for 2. Throw is offline. He read it. I think he would have stopped. He saw that the throw was a little offline, and a hustle double for Javi Baez.
You can tell Javi Baez after the pitch up and in. Sun hitters love it. It gives him an opportunity to be hyper-focused at the plate. Puts the ball in the left center gap, and as good as Desmond is to get to that baseball, Baez had in his mind off the bat he was getting to second.
Baez now triple shy of a cycle. Chris Bryant, a strikeout and a walk. Well, you can tell, listening to Buddy Black, it's one where Gray has to just gut his way through this thing and hopefully give the Rockies 6 innings and keep it right where it is. His stuff not as sharp as we've seen it in other outings, and he's run into problems in other outings seemingly in just 1 inning. But there's been traffic every inning against John.
Well, that's
just evidently a little bit low, 2-0.
Well, and he's, even as Bud was saying about Steve Foster coming in after, he was getting loose, saying even in the bullpen he didn't have a slider tonight. But again, if you're gonna make 30, 31, 32 starts, not every start's going to be beautiful and crisp and clean.
Well, and I also think at this point where the Rockies are at, and with this rotation, that it's okay to say, all right, the learning curve is over. This is a win now team, and if you want to be the top dog, if you want to be the gray wolf, you're going to have to start being that guy.
That's all about results at this level.
It's not. There's no learning curve anymore. The wheels are off. This is a team expected to get back to the playoffs. This is a team expected to compete and potentially win a division. And you have to take a step forward. Can't go backwards.
Got himself back in the count with 2 heaters. 2-2 against Bryant. 1 out, Baez at second.
Again with the curveball instead of the slider. John knows he doesn't have the feel for that.
Well, we haven't seen him command inside part of the plate with the fastball, but I think inside fastball will get Chris Bryant.
Three-two. Ground ball to short. Dangerous play out at third. And Baez signaling with his hands, take a look at it. That was a dangerous play by Story because Baez runs so well. He did cross over, but this was really close. Could have had the second out at first, but you got to make a split-second decision.
Well, then kind of the rule is too, as an infielder, shortstop, if that guy doesn't beat the ball through,
he's safe. It's not close.
He's safe. Better look on the Subaru Supermo, and his slide, he goes inside of Nolan. I don't think his toe ever came off the bag. This will give us a better look. Is it tags applied? Does the foot ever lose contact?
I'll tell you what, it's straight athleticism to be safe on that play. That's a ill-advised base running. Well, never want to run on a ball hit in front of you if you're at second base with 1 out. You're in scoring position. That's how you run yourself out of an inning.
Well, and he also looked over his shoulder, too, as that ball is being thrown. So he did everything wrong, but it came out right for him.
Because he's a fantastic athlete.
What about from the shortstop perspective?
I don't have a problem, like I said, because the ball was in front of the runner. You know, so I understand why Trevor went there. You're right, though. If he goes to first, there's 2 outs, and then you're just dealing with Rizzo. But everything in your clock and in your mind telling, well, the guy didn't beat it, so I could throw to third and get it.
Rizzo hit into a 4-6-3 double play in the third. That would work well right here. Two and 0.
Well, that's not, and that play right there also for John, we keep talking about John Gray taking that extra step forward. That's an extra out that he has to go out and get in the middle of the lineup. Now, that's a lot of pressure to put on a starting pitcher, or any pitcher for that matter.
I don't think this is hit hard enough. It's not. It'll get the 4th run home. RBI ground out for Rizzo, just his 5th RBI on the young season. The Cubs lead it 4-3. You know, without that slider, John's not getting the strikeouts we're accustomed to seeing. He has 1 tonight, and that was Chris Bryant back in the 1st inning. Here's Contreras. Five-year-old catcher from Venezuela. Nolan on the backhand, low throw. McMahon can't come up with it. It'll cost the Rockies a run. First error of the year, or actually 2nd error of the year on Nolan. And it's 5-3.
Nolan comes and gets it, and then has to go on the backhand. We very rarely see him throw a ball like that down into the dirt, and it's such a in-between hop on the Subaru Supermo for Ryan. He just had to fight it to try to make that play.
I said 2nd error.
That's
that is his first error. Yeah. You know what? It was that ball. I think that initially was going to be scored in error. And they flipped it to a hit, doubled down the line. I can't remember what game it was. So that is the first error this year on Nolan. There's a strike on the corner to Schwarber. Singled in the 4th. He walked on 4 pitches in the 2nd.
Kind of going back to your point now for John Gray. He's trying to get 5 outs.
Yeah. I mean, this is 2 runs that come down to Javi Baez being a great athlete and a bit lucky.
Off the Subaru strike zone. Some losing offs from the crowd, but it was off.
2-1 on Schwarber. 1st round pick out of Indiana. Two and two.
remember watching him that year in Indiana. Just, you know, how they have college baseball on all the time, and I just happened to catch one of his games. I said, that was really the first time I had heard about Kyle Schwarber when he was playing for the Hoosiers.
Tremendous, tremendous power. 3-2, and now moving up. And Chris, I don't know what happened. The ball slipped out of his hand. This will be an error on Iannetta, allowing Contreras to go to third. And this is not the kind of defense the Rockies are accustomed to playing here in this 5th inning.
Well, it looks like Contreras might have hurt himself sliding into third base. The ball in the dirt. Iannetta runs out after it. Contreras reading dirt ball. Looks like his foot just slips in the dirt. But Contreras going into third. I can't tell if it's his left arm.
Nothing wrong there.
Did he roll his ankle?
Oh, it might have pulled his groin.
Staying in. So it's a wild pitch and an E2, allowing Contreras to go from first to third. Got to get Schwarber here. 2 runs in the inning. 3-2 on Schwarber.
That's the 3rd error on Chris this year. Rockies came in only making 6 errors, but had 992 fielding percentage. It's also the first game this year that they've had 2 errors in a game.
Center field and deep. Blackman going back, and he reaches up and makes the grab. Tremendous play by Charlie Blackman in the inning. A couple of runs. One was an unearned run, and the Cubs lead it 5-3 as we go to the bottom of the 5th. Look again at that catch by Blackman. Very early, in fact, 2 hitters in. A base hit and then a Javi Baez home run to right. The Rockies got 3 in the bottom half of the 1st inning, highlighted by Nolan Arenado 2-run home run on the first pitch he saw coming off the suspended list. John Gray will lead it off in the top of the order against Kyle Hendricks, who has retired 8 in a row. And he has struck out 6. And he's not necessarily one of those guys you think of putting together high strikeout totals. He had only 13 strikeouts in 17 innings coming in. Gray has one of the hits against him. This ball toward the seats, and Hayward smart to slide before he ran into that low rail. Gray had a double in the second. One of the Rockies' 4 hits.
I'm looking, 2 of the 6 strikeouts, 5 of them have been swinging. He's the type of guy too, when you come back after a strikeout, you go, how did that just happen?
John may have himself another hit. He does. I don't think he made the catch.
No catch.
No catch.
He's lucky that ball didn't scoot by to the wall.
That's 2 balls tonight that John Gray has hit that very easily could have gone for triples. The ball in the corner where Hayward had to almost throw his glove. You can't throw your glove, but you know, he stuck his glove out to keep it from going around that corner and right. And if Almora dives and somehow misses this ball, it's going to go all the way to the wall.
A great effort from Almora, former first rounder out of high school from Florida. You see the one hop into his glove, Supermo. But to your point, Drew, when you're a center fielder and you're diving on a ball in front of you, you really have to trust your corner outfielders to protect you. Corner guys, an outfielder was saying, if you're a center fielder, I always want my corner guys to dive. I'll back you up. Unless it's down the line, then you're on your own. But if you're in center field, you truly have to trust Hayward or Schwarber to back you up. Otherwise, it's smooth sailing for whatever runner's on base.
Especially here, too, compared to Wrigley Field. I mean, you can get away with a dive at Wrigley Field where that ball is going to go to the wall, and you can, 15, 20 steps, you're back at the wall, get it back in.
Heck,
but
the
here,
shortstop can run out and get it for you.
Exactly. But here, it's a much different story.
2-0 on DJ's 1 for 2, a single in the first. 2-1. DJ scored on a base hit by Blackman. Again, as the Rockies got their 3 runs at the bottom of the first. Since then, their only base runner has been John Gray.
Strange to see DJ swing and miss. He's nearly 90% contact rate, which is the best in Major League Baseball. Major League average contact rate is about 75%.
This is where DJ's ability to let the ball get deep and be so comfortable with it pays off typically. 2-2. Just like that. He can make last-second decisions, and it's why he is not only one of the premier hitters in the game, he's one of the premier 2-strike hitters in the game. And he's a former Cub.
Revenge ABs.
You know what? He does not need a lot of fuel to get him ready to play, no matter who he's competing against. But DJ is the ultimate chip on the shoulder guy.
316 career average against the Cubs. 373 at Coors Field against the Cubs.
Fisted up the middle, and we get the out.
Got the out with
on
the bare
Gray.
hand. Watch this play.
Broken bat right up the middle. Addison Russell's got some spin on it, but he flips it. Javi Baez with the bare hand.
Did he stay on the bag?
Yep. That ball was spinning, and then when he came out of his hands, you could see he spun it the other way. That's why it carried over. That's not where you're expecting the ball as a second baseman. Onto your bare hand side.
Ball 1 on Iannetta. Ground ball to second, and he was caught looking at a 3-2 pitch.
Well, in one inning, you've already seen why people are so high on Javi Baez with what kind of athlete he is.
Well, Joe Madden said yesterday, after Baez put on a performance in their 8-5 victory over the Cardinals, He said if he can lay off the slider away, which gets a lot of guys, it's a big if. He goes, you're looking at Manny Ramirez at the plate.
That's high praise.
That's pretty high praise.
Well, even Javi was trying to downplay that a little. Come on. So you get, really?
Manram?
Manram?
Yeah.
But he is only 25 years of age.
That's what's scary about this Cubs roster. A lot of them are under control through 2021.
This ball's lined to right, but it's at Haywood. 2 outs. And that'll bring up Charlie. Charlie, an RBI single to right, and he struck out swinging.
Pretty high pitch count if you're looking at it for Kyle Hendricks with 92 pitches in the 5th inning, and he's due up 3rd next inning. Second time today that
Picking on DJ.
Yeah. First time was with Ionette at the plate. This time was with Charlie, so different throw for Contreras.
I like catchers who are aggressive because if he shortens you up by 6 inches, how many times does a tag play come down to somebody being safe by a couple inches either way, right?
Yep.
DJ was bouncing.
He had it too. If he trusted his instincts, he would have had second base easy.
Right here, though, it'd be hard for me as a base runner with Charlie up the plate.
Let him hit.
Yeah, let him hit.
Plus he has the hole, and with Anthony Rizzo having to hold on DJ.
Rockies done in their half of the 5th. We move to the 6th. The Cubs up 5-3.
And for me in particular, it was 8 years ago that the president of the Colorado Rockies and my dad suddenly passed away. And on days like these, it can be challenging thinking of the good memories, but also celebratory when you think about the good times that we had together. That was something I was able to do with Dick Manfred this morning. We sat down and thought about all the memories everyone shared. And in particular, of course, we got to talk about that 07 run. He had a memory from, they were in San Diego, and it was in one of those 21 out of 22 games.
And Kelly taught me superstition. I mean,
Me too.
Yeah. So we sat in these 2 top seats in the row because we didn't want to bug everybody walking down. Well, we pitched a perfect inning, and he said, well, let's just hang here. So we hung there for about 4 or 5 innings. And finally, Brad Hopp hit the home run. to win the game. And so we decided, okay, we got to really watch what we're doing here, right? We got to make sure we're doing the right thing.
Rockies need some of that tonight, as maybe they can go for another perfect inning. But another thing that Dick mentioned is after that, because the Rockies had played so well, he said, Dick, we got to go to LA, which is the next stop on the road trip. And Dick was supposed to go home to Colorado, and my dad said, no, you got to go to LA to continue this thing. Good thing he was able to, because as I mentioned, that was part of the 21 out of 22 games, guys.
Absolutely. And Taylor, we all have such great memories of your dad, and he was literally larger than life and figuratively larger than life.
He was. I was telling Dick, I feel bad for all the prom dates he had to meet over the years.
Yeah. This ball lined to the gap in left center field after the base hit by Russell. And Russell is going to score easily. Hayward is headed toward third with a triple, and it is 6-3 Chicago. Rockies have Antonio Senzatella up in their bullpen.
First triple of the year for Jason Hayward. And it splits the gap. Just runs into the deepest part of Coors Field. Madison Russell scores easily. Hayward to third, and now it'll be up to John Gray to get out Tommy LaStella, who's pinch hitting for Kyle Hendrick.
Well, there's your answer, Spilly, with the fact that his pitch count's over 90, and it's going to be the end of the line for John Gray. You know, it's another rough outing. There's no other way to spin it for John. And one of the things you're going to point to is that he faced 6 leadoff men, because it looks like he's going to be gone after 5+, and 5 out of the 6 reached. And the one guy he got out was Albert Almora Jr. on a line drive to deep left center, in which Ian Desmond made a nice running catch on.
Got a little bit snake bit with some balls that were put in play that weren't hard hit. The 5th inning with two plays. Still not John's best yet.
Comes up 6-3, and they have Jason Hayward at third, nobody out. It is Brian Shaw who has come in for the Rockies, and Tommy LaStella is going to pinch hit.
12th ball game. He's been busy this year out of 21 games that the Rockies have played. It's tied for third in the major leagues, scoreless in 9 of those 11. And even the one where he got dinged for 3 earned runs, I still think that should have been an error. They appealed it. It was upheld, though. They meaning the Rockies.
3-1. Cutter for a strike. Jason Hayward drove in his 11th run a moment ago. He's second on the Cubs in that department to Javi Baez, and Estella walks. I'll bring up Almora Jr. 2 hits on a line out. Nolan looking in the dugout, asking where Stu Cole wants him to play. He's going to come even with the bag. Huey, as you like to say, 2 depth up the middle.
Yep. So you're definitely going to play for double play up the middle. It comes a little more challenging if the ball's hit to Nolan. So what he'll do is kind of give a little false break to third and then start the double play. If it's hit right at him, to get what you want to get then would be, you'd want to get Jason Hayward to be diving back towards the bag, then you start the double play.
What you'd like in a perfect world is some strikeouts.
Well, I think that might be why he brought Brian in here too, because he's typically the plus side guy in the 7th inning.
This was a Coors Field move by a savvy manager, Buddy Black. Keep you in the game. It's still the 6th inning. You have 12 more outs offensively. 3 runs here is, as we all know, not insurmountable by any stretch. And that's why I think he chose one of his high leverage guys in Brian Shaw. Nobody out. 1 and 2 count. Runners at first and third. No swing. 2 and 2. .37 degrees the temperature tonight.
A little bit of a light rain starting to, real light rain coming down.
That's a base hit to right. Hayward will score. Listella stops at second. It's 7-3. And that'll close the book on John Gray. He goes 5+, 7 runs, 6 earned, 8 hits, 3 walks, and a strikeout.
Well, this is just a punch to right by Almora. I mean, he really had to go down and get it. Got a 3/4 swing. Joe Madden said something interesting yesterday. Kind of, he's talking about his team offensively. He said, you can keep your launch angle, you can keep your exit velocity, just give me a good at bat. And that was a good at bat right there from Almora.
And now another wild pitch, allowing the runners to move up. It's Bryant's first tonight, but it's the 3rd for the Rockies because John Gray had 2 wild pitches.
You're just making it harder on yourself to get outs, and any sort of self-inflicting wound on a team that's a good team like the Cubs, you're making it harder and harder on yourself.
And you've also made 2 errors.
And you have their hottest hitter at the plate, Javi Baez. He's 3 for 3. Second time tonight he's taken one under the chin. Last time John Gray threw one up there, the very next pitch he hit for a double.
Man, there's no purpose. That's just a cutter on the side of it, getting away from Brian Shaw.
I would have bet a lot of money that Baez was going to swing at that 2-0 pitch.
And swing as hard as he could.
And, well, you know he's
Yeah.
right.
They did that against John Gray after a pitch up and in. Hit a double the next pitch.
Three and one. Infield in, Chris Bryant's on deck. Single, triple, walk, single. 7-3 Cubs. It's going to drive in 2 more. Baez is 4 for 4 with 4 RBIs. That's his 3rd 4-ribby game of the year.
And he'd come into tonight 5th in the National League with those 16 RBIs, now make it 20 on the season. When Javi Baez starts to hit sliders and cutters down and away from him, you know that's when he's kind of turned that corner as a big leaguer, because that used to be his kryptonite.
Bryant's 0 for 2 and a walk. He has scored a run. And this ball is hit to deep center field, and it's over the head of Blackman. Baez will get a stop sign at 3rd. Nobody's up in the Rockies' pen. I'd imagine somebody will get up now, because you don't want to lose Brian Shaw.
Nope.
In what is now a lopsided game.
For Charlie Blackman, you could see the ball tailing away from him. I think he wasn't expecting it to tail away as much as it did.
And I think, in fairness to Charlie, his leg is not anywhere near 100%, that quad on the right side. Scott Oberg has gotten up. Anthony Rizzo 0 for 3 and an RBI ground out in the 5th. 4 runs in the inning. Nobody out still. 2nd and 3rd. Cubs with 11 hits. 5 here in the inning. 6 straight have reached.
Just run him all the way back to 3rd. Just go all the way at him.
Should have gone all the way at him.
He stayed in the rundown long enough to allow Rizzo to get to 2nd base. But once you had him committed to like that, just run him all the way back to the back, because you know that Bryant's going to go to 3rd. And DJ did the right thing. Don't throw it immediately. You see him stop. So Bryant's there, so just go ahead and take him all the way back to the bag because there's 2 guys on the bag.
And then you'd have an opportunity to make a play on Rizzo.
Yeah, the other thing DJ got lucky with too is he crossed in front of the runner, so if the runner would have touched him.
Yeah, it would have been interference.
Yeah.
Wilson Contreras at the plate, second and third. Two and nothing. The game got off to a rousing start for the Cubs, and then Almora singled and Javi Baez blasted a 2-run home run. John Gray would get the next 3, and his offense would pick him up. Blackman an RBI single in the first, and then a 2-run home run from Nolan Arenado, and the Rockies had a 3-2 lead. Cubs got a run in the 3rd inning to make it 4-3. They got 2 in the 5th to make it 6-3. And now, actually, they got a run in the 3rd to make it 3-3. They got a run in the 5th, 2 in the 5th to make it 5-3. Now 4 to make it 9-3 here in the top of the 6th inning. Rockies have been out on defense for a while now. Still only 1 out. The Cubs have done a really good job of getting the ball in play. Again, only 1 strikeout tonight. Against 2 guys that typically strike a lot of guys out. John Gray does, and Brian Shaw as well.
For Brian Shaw, he's had 23 pitches now. And if you are looking at when can he bounce back, we know this guy bounces back better than anybody, but you're still concerned if you want to use him tomorrow or the day after. 23 pitches starts getting up there.
Yeah, the mark is 25 for a reliever. That's tough to bring him back the next day.
Hit well to right down the line and foul.
Just kind of look at the approach from the Cubs tonight. Is they're just using the whole field. They're not saying, well, if you pitch me away, I'm going to try to pull it. No, if they pitch him away, they'll hit it away.
Two-two. Guessing Oberg just looking down there is ready now. Schwarber's on deck. And that is going to be foul also.
Contreras came out of the box and now he's limping. We saw him. It was the last inning where he slid into third base. He's looking into the dugout, and I think one of the trainers is trying to walk up as well. Apparently he stepped on the bat.
He's lucky he didn't roll his ankle harder.
He is hanging in there. 3-2 again.
So I'm assuming no matter what, 27 pitches now for Shaw in this inning. This is his last bat.
strikes out Wilson Contreras for the second out.
Fans, be sure to download the MLB Ballpark app, the official app of Coors Field. Purchase and access digital tickets, upgrade your seat, ballpark experience, and much more. Download today.
Schwarber, the ninth man to hit, and he will face Brian Shaw. Center field and deep and gone. 3-run home run. Kyle Schwarber, his 4th of the year. And now it's 12-3 Chicago.
Schwarber with his 4th home run, his 12th RBI. Just watching Charlie that whole time, and he knew it.
Pitching change for the Rockies, 12-3 Chicago.
To 3 with 2 outs in the top of the 6th inning. Hey, looking for an affordable way to entertain family, friends, clients, or employees? Ask about the Sunday/Monday Super Suite special. Tickets start at $100 per person and include a catering package. Rockies pitcher Scott Oberg pitched a couple innings in the Pittsburgh series, 4 hits, couple earned runs, 3 strikeouts.
Russell pops it up to right field. This will finally get the Rockies into the dugout. 7-run inning for the Chicago Cubs. They're up 12-3. takes on the Cubs today by AARP. So how's he done at Coors Field against the Cubs? Pretty well. 333 average, 5 home runs after the one in the first inning today. 17 driven in, and a slugging percentage of .649. Thing is you could do that AARP graph against virtually everybody in the National League, and you'd see similar numbers. He has 642 RBIs, or excuse me, 462 RBIs. The last 3 years, more than anybody else in baseball. Nolan, Parra, and Story. Mike Montgomery is now in for the Chicago Cubs in relief of Kyle Hendricks. So Hendricks gave up 3 in the first, and it did take him 90-plus pitches to navigate 5 innings, but the Rockies weren't able to get after him after that first frame.
And the Cubs are going to go with Mike Montgomery, who's really considered their long reliever. He was getting stretched out this offseason to try to get back in the starting rotation. And when the Cubs re-signed Yu Darvish and they signed former Rocky Tyler Chatwood, Montgomery went back to the bullpen.
One and 2 on Nolan. Tyler Chatwood. It's Chatty. Chatty so far is 0-3 this year with a .460 ERA with his new club. And one of the things that's hurt Tyler, the same thing that hurt him in a Rockies uniform. The stuff is really good, but he has struggled with walks. He's walked 14 guys in 15 2/3.
Yeah, his last start he had 7 strikeouts, 7 walks.
Well, the league's hitting just .237 against him. This ball is going to die in front of Haywood. A base hit for Nolan leading off the 6th. So he's 2 for 3. He's hit 3 line drives tonight. Parra struck out swinging twice against Hendricks, who went 5 innings, 3 runs, 5 hits, no walks, 6 strikeouts. He also hit a batter. That was Trevor Story.
He also had 7 ground ball outs, just 1 fly out. That was kind of typical Kyle Hendricks. You're going to get a little different look with Montgomery. There's 93 from the left side. That's a lower 3/4.
Off the plate low, 1 ball, 1 strike. Back-to-back games, the Rockies have given up double digits after the pitching staff dominated the Pirates on Monday and Tuesday night. They gave up 10 spot on Wednesday. The Cubs are up 12-3 tonight. Two and 2. That man's been outstanding. He's been the staff leader for the Rockies this year. Chad 3-0 with a 1.44 ERA. It's the 3rd lowest through 4 starts in Rockies history.
Oh, he's also giving you a lot of innings too. 25 innings for Chad.
3-6 on the fielder's choice. Bring up Story by a pitch, and then Struck out looking in the 4th inning.
I think if anything, the way the score is right now, 12-3, you'd just like to see the Rockies start to get offensively a foothold. Score 3 runs in the 1st inning and then nothing from that point on.
This is to short. There's one, and they're going to double up Trevor. Nolan had a base hit, and nothing else to cross for the Rockies. The 6th, we move to the 7th, 12-3 Chicago. Back. This game starting quickly for the Cubs. Base hit by Almora, 2-run home run by the red-hot Javi Baez, but the Rockies countered. Nolan Arenado, first pitch he sees in his return from the suspended list, a 2-run homer, his 2nd of the year, and that gave the Rockies a 3-2 lead. But since that time, it has been all Chicago. Tough outing tonight for John Gray. The Cubs have 12 runs on 12 hits tonight. That's why the long faces in the crowd. Jason Hayward had a triple his last time up. He's also walked and hit into a fielder's choice. The triple scored a run. 3rd pitcher tonight for the Rockies is Scott Ober. He got the final out in that miserable 6th inning. Comes and gets it, 1 out. You know, we've spent a lot of time talking about the fact that the Rockies are slow to get going at the plate this year. They came in hitting a major league worst .214 after leading the major leagues last year, close to .280. And you know that they're not going to hit .214 or anywhere close to that for the season. But it got us thinking, because this has been such a tough April weather-wise throughout the country. How much has it affected offenses throughout the game? Well, it clearly has, and we'll show you graphically what we're talking about. After this pitch, 0-1 on Mike Montgomery, 0-2 on Mike Montgomery. Last year, major league average was .255, slugging percentage .426. And you see runs per game were about 4.65. So far in the month of April, we'll throw that graphic up again. Teams are hitting 14 points lower. They're slugging 30+ points lower, and the runs per game are down. Now, is that because pitching keeps getting better and everything now seems to be the a true outcome, strikeout, walk, or a home run. There is some of that in my mind, but there's also the fact that it's been hard to hit in a lot of ballparks when you're talking about temperature as it is tonight in the 30s. That's not an excuse on the Rockies tonight, because listen, the Cubs are swinging the bat very well, clearly, but it has affected, I think, all of baseball.
There's no question. I think it's had an effect on baseball, and I think going back to the question on 154 games, 162, well, I have a suggestion too. If you're going to have Aprils like they are, why not a neutral site? Why not an area where Major League Baseball can have a stadium? I'll make a suggestion. Las Vegas. We've seen Las Vegas Knights do well. NFL is getting there. Have a neutral site for the month of April. And you can roll some series. You can have teams play there. It's a destination spot. You're not worried about some organizations have seen 8,000 people go through the turnstiles. Take a trip.
But all the money goes back to the clubs. Is that what you're saying?
It's a neutral site for all Major League Baseball to share.
Well, again, I think you get into that's nice
Sure.
in theory, but you're going to talk certain owners into, hey, you're going to give up, a couple of home games.
You're going to get it.
Well, you're not going to get the same cut if you're splitting it.
Yeah, but
30
what
ways.
kind of cut are you getting at 8,000 fans through the turnstiles?
Well, the Rockies are different. The Rockies draw so well. I mean, we just got the attendance for tonight. The Cubs are a great draw, but even with the weather is chilly and potentially inclement as it is, the Rockies have over 35,000 tonight. I think people, honestly, we all know, maybe more so than ever because of social media, people overreact. Has this been a cold weather April seemingly throughout everywhere in the country? DJ with a fine play is going to throw it on board. It has. But we've been playing baseball in April for more than a century, and this particular April has been particularly bad. There's been a lot of good weather days in April where there haven't been nearly the number of postponements. 12-3 Chicago. Performance of the night and a comparison to the starters and the clear edge to Kyle Hendricks tonight. 5 innings, 3 runs all in the first inning, and then he was tough on the Rockies. And for John Gray, he gave up 7 runs in 5 innings of work. Second inning for Mike Montgomery. Ian Desmond steps in, and Desmond is out at first base. That's 1-6-3 on the ground out. That'll bring up Ryan McMahon.
Mike Montgomery is a trivia answer to many Cubs fans or people that are trying to figure out who got the last out when the Cubs won the World Series. It's
Yeah, that's a pretty good trivia
That is
question.
a good one.
That's kind of like the Rockies. You know, one of the biggest games they ever played, game 163 in 2007. Who got the win in that comeback? Do you remember?
Yeah.
You should know. He was your teammate.
My teammate. It was
He was
Russ Ortiz.
No, not
close,
Russ Ortiz.
close. You got the last name
You
right.
got Ortiz right.
You got that right.
He came in a trade around the
I
trade
know
deadline.
who it is. I know who it is.
And it
because
starts with an R too.
Ramon Ortiz.
There you go.
There's a base hit the other way for McMahon.
It's good to see from Ryan. Now this is 3 straight games he's gotten a hit, and all of them have come going the other way. And a big RBI in the win Tuesday night in Pittsburgh, then the day game on Wednesday. It's another one. And here left on left. Wanted it down and away. It was away, so he stayed with it. But it
Nice.
was up. Good swing.
Pat Valleca is going to pinch hit. Well, another set of numbers that'll change for the Rockies just because it has to. Pat was so good in the pinch last year. And the Rockies as a club right now 2 for 33. Pinch hitting.
Pat has one of those hits. Mike Talkman has the other.
Down the line, fair ball. Now he's got 2 of the 3. McMahon, the third. He'll stop there on the double by Pat Valleca.
Well, it's been a struggle for Pat. Finally gets one to go in his favor. Past Chris Bryant as he slides and tries to make that play.
So DJ coming up with traffic.
Antonio Senzatella is up in the Rockies bullpen.
DJ 1 for 3 tonight. He singled in the first and would eventually score on a Blackman base hit.
Remember, we mentioned earlier in the game we haven't seen 3 straight hits for the Rockies since San Diego Padres when the Rockies were in San Diego. Here's an opportunity for the Rockies to string together some hits.
Going back to that question we asked about Ramon Ortiz. Ramon didn't really have the impact that the Rockies had hoped after the trade. But ultimately, getting those outs and giving the Rockies a chance, you know, nobody thought it would happen, but the miracle happened, and he ends up the winning pitcher. 1-1. Run will score. Second out, and that'll bring up Iannetta. 12-4. DJ's 10th RBI. Iannetta, ground ball to second, a strikeout, and a line drive to right. Montgomery had him way out in front on the hook.
Montgomery, as you mentioned, Spilly, is their long guy. But he'll still mix in 4 pitches. He'll go with the fastball, the curveball, slider, changeup. Some guys, even if they're the long guy out of the bullpen, they'll just drop one of those pitches and become a 3-pitch mix.
The Cubs really have 2 long guys. Another former Rocky, and Eddie Butler.
Eddie went on the DL today with a groin injury. Luke Farrell was brought back to the big leagues.
Is every long reliever always called the long guy?
I think so.
Always.
Yeah.
Hard ground ball, good pickup by Bryant. Rockies get a run. Ryan McMahon scores it. Pat Valleca had a double off the bench, 12-4 through 7. Our Coors Light refreshing finish. Javi Baez 4 for 4, including a 2-run home run, his 3rd game this year where he's driven in 4. There's our Coors Light refreshing finish. Well, you knew coming in that he was hot, and he's always dangerous. First time we saw him play, Huey, we chatted about this before the ball game. It was a spring training game that we televised with the Rockies playing the Cubs. I think we televised that.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
And Jorge De La Rosa was on the mound, and Javi Baez was this 20-year-old kid that you'd heard a lot about. And he hit a ball, for those that could picture Salt River Fields. You know the batter's eye in center field, and it has 3 different rows of cactus. He hit the top row.
And it was still climbing.
Right, which is about 7,000 feet away.
Yeah, it was impressive, and that's when you and I looked at each other and said, wow, this kid has immense talent.
Gets a slider from Senzatella, ball 1.
8th game for Antonio. All of those have been in relief. Pitched Wednesday in Pittsburgh, an inning, had a walk and a strikeout.
Drew, I love the story on Javi Baez hitting it, but I have a question on the story.
What do you got?
Isn't it called cacti?
Cacti, plural.
That is true.
Yeah, I believe he hit 7,000 feet.
There was 3 rows of. Let me revisit that story and retell it. There were 3 rows of cacti.
Okay,
there's still 3 rows of cacti.
Yeah, so it was like I get it was 7,000 feet. The cacti
But
was
the
wrong.
cacti was wrong.
Yeah.
Way to call him out. I like that.
There's always one guy in the audience. 2 and 2. I was talking to somebody else about Baez with the Rockies. it's somebody who's been around for a while. I don't know if it's Charlie or DJ, and they remembered that also. I mean, when a player remembers a guy hitting the ball really far.
It's like the guy we'll see tomorrow night for the Cubs and Darvish. Remember when he came over and pitched the first time
Never forget it.
Against the Rockies? I mean, it was jaw-dropping in that spring training game.
And we weren't televising that, because I know we were sitting right behind home plate. This ball in the air to deep center field. Charlie will try to cut it off, and he will. So Baez finally retired.
Now the Cubs fans are getting behind Javi, cheering him on for the potential cycle.
We just had some guests in the booth, and they're saying, man, there's Cubs fans, a ton of Cubs fans here. I said, you understand it, and in a certain way you really appreciate it. They've been around for over 100 years. When it comes to the Cubs and the Yankees and the Red Sox, and so even the Dodgers, they are iconic franchises. And because people get dispersed all over the country, they have fans all over the country.
Oh, and also they were one of the first kind of regional sports network.
Because of WGN.
WGN.
Yes.
So that's how a lot of people started watching them. It was either the Braves or the Cubs.
Yeah, and I was a big Braves fan
because of
TBS.
Right.
Two strikes on Chris Bryant. Off the plate.
Well, I remember growing up watching WGN too with the Chicago Cubs, and Ryan Sandberg was one of my favorite players. Jeff Houston was my second favorite player.
Thank you for at least putting me in the top two.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys tied for second. Is that what you're saying?
A lot of guys tied.
On the ground is short. Story behind the throw, 2 outs.
And so you can understand why Cubs fans tonight were cheering on for Javi Baez to get the cycle. The last time the Cubs have had a cycle dates back to 1993. Mark Grace.
Gracie.
How did Gracie get a triple? He can't even win the race down there in Arizona that they have every day.
With Gonzo and Randy Johnson.
Yeah.
That one. Two guys collided, and then they couldn't get up.
Gracie went like a year and a half, excuse me, a year and a half without winning.
Yes. It was kind of like the president's race in Washington.
Yeah, he's Teddy.
Yeah, he's Teddy down in Arizona.
There had to be a train wreck in the outfield for Gracie to get the I hope Gracie's looking in tonight too. He actually had 45 career triples. He had about 1 billion doubles. Well, we mentioned the desert. And Tyson Ross of the Nationals has a no-hitter through 6 down there for the Padres, excuse me. Thinking of Joe Ross.
He used to pitch for the Nats.
I watched a home run hit by Franchi Cordero. You remember, got called up because of Manny Margot going on the disabled list. Hit a ball tonight nearly 500 feet.
Ooh.
I still have issue with baseball. Just let us see. Just put 550.
It's okay. It's okay.
4-pitch walk to Rizzo. Bring up Wilson Contreras. Gracie had 511 doubles to be precise.
Fans, Rockies baseball is always live with the MLB at Bat mobile app. Stay connected all season with broadcast video, highlights, stats, news, and more.
Contreras 0 for 4, reached out an error in the 5th inning.
Arizona, you see that Taiwan Walker has to have Tommy John surgery.
You know, you knew that news was going to come out. Whenever you hear guys got
Left
forearm
tightness
and we're reevaluating, you know it's not going to be good. That just missed. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Contreras. Excuse me, Contreras tonight. This is baseball. He's got nothing to show for it, but he's put together good at bats typically. Remember, he had a slew of foul balls before striking out in the 6th inning against Brian Shaw.
Someone has to make the outs.
And this ball's toward the gap in right center field, and it's going to take one hop and go off the wall. Rizzo will score, and Contreras has his 4th RBI of the year, and it's 13-4.
It's a 2-out walk that drives Bud Black. Bud Black crazy. It's a high slider. You know Antonio's been working on getting a better secondary pitch. I pitched too much middle part of the plate and up.
Schwarber, 3-run home run to center in his last at bat, and that's a base hit. Contreras will score. And the Cubs now have 14 runs.
We also now have 2 guys on the night that have 4 RBIs. Schwarber joins Javi Baez.
Well, you guys, I'm going to return you to your days in the clubhouse again. There are certain games that are easier to wipe out, and you know, barring an unbelievable comeback, the game in Pittsburgh, 5-2 road trip, it ended poorly in Pittsburgh, but you got blown out. Okay, we can, you know, we'll move on. Tonight, bad night at the office, as opposed to, you know, being up 4-3 in the 9th and having somebody walk you off with a 2-run homer or come back on you. You don't like it, doesn't feel good, but games like this happen.
Yes, they do, and you're right. You know, there are a couple guys though right now that are not saying they can wash it off so easy. John Gray being one of them.
Right. And,
yeah.
And that, again, for John would be easier if he's coming off 4 real good ones. This is a base hit. Russell single. Have Schwarber go 1st to 3rd. I mean, John was coming off 4 really strong outings, and then he threw a clunker up there, a little bit easier to dismiss.
Yes.
But unfortunately for John, he has the 1 strong 7-inning outing against the Padres, and the other ones have not been good.
And his ERA went up tonight. Now, after the game tonight, when he puts his head on the pillow, his ERA is going to be 6.75.
First and 3rd for Hayward.
All this with 2 outs, too.
Let's start with the walk.
Well, and it was a non-competitive walk because it was a 4-pitch walk. Upstairs. This is going to be really tough. No play for Nolan. And an RBI for Hayward. Now it doesn't matter where they hit it.
Nope. That's 4 consecutive hits for the Cubs with 2 outs after the walk. And it's 3 times on the evening. We talked about earlier how the Rockies have struggled to put three hits together. The Cubs have done that 3 times tonight.
This is an amazing number that Doug just handed me. Mike Montgomery at the plate. He is the 27th hitter for the Cubs since the start of the 5th inning.
Oh my.
Think about that.
Well, and it guarantees Javi Baez will get another opportunity in the 9th inning.
The only 1, 2, 3 inning the Cubs had was in the 7th.
Montgomery fouls that off.
So since the 5th inning, 27 hitters have come up. I still look back to the slide from Javier Baez as being one of those turning points for this game.
Mike Montgomery taking his first 2 at-bats of the season. He struck out his first time, but he fouled off several pitches his first at-bat. He's doing the same thing here.
A little experience, so he made 16 starts for the Cubs last year.
That'll end the inning. 8 came to the plate in the 8th. The first 2 were retired, and then 3 runs came around. On Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies Taco Special when the Rockies do score 7 or more in a game. Been an ugly night at Coors Field as the Rockies return home after a very successful road trip in which they won 5 out of 7, but they're down 15-4 tonight. Charlie Blackman, Nolan Arenado, Gerardo Parra due up against Mike Montgomery in the 8th. And for Chuck Nasty, a single and an RBI in the first, 1 for 3. Raining a little more seriously than it has the whole evening.
I think maybe even after this at bat for Charlie, you'll see Mike Tauchman come in, play the last inning for him, maybe even pinch run for him.
I think that's a reasonable call. 1-1. Tough fans around baseball this April. 1 out.
Well, don't forget the Colorado Rockies Home Run 5K is Sunday, April 29th. Go to Rockies.com/5K to register today. At the end of that 5K, you get to run around a lap of Coors Field.
Ooh.
Yeah.
My wife makes me run on occasion, and it's not fun.
That's
Stacy,
not
like,
a ringing endorsement for the 5K.
Yeah, we need to have the Stacy fun run.
well, Stacy can run laps around all of us. What's her light jog, like a 12-mile excursion?
Being a guy that look, I like to be outside. I like to move around. If you give me something to chase, I'll chase after a baseball, a basketball, but for whatever reason, running.
That's not your.
It's when I hear fun run, I go, what? What?
How did it get named that?
It'd be fun to go out and go for the 5K.
Yeah.
And then run around.
Yeah, that sounds
The
like fun.
warning
Yeah,
track.
that sounds great. Sign me up.
No, you can't, because you're going to be in Miami.
We already did.
Okay, good.
There's a base hit for Nolan. So in his return, he's got 3 hits.
Well, you had the home run to right, base hit to right, then they try to go a little Yogi Berra where the stand-up catcher, Wilson Contreras, he pulls the hands in nicely to get that barrel there. I know it's not been a pretty night for the Rockies, but it's really nice to see Nolan come back, get 3 hits, home run, couple RBIs.
This gives us an opportunity to talk about Parra. He's still looking at a 4-game suspension. He's appealed it. Nolan came off his 5-game suspension. So at some point here, if it doesn't get reduced, Parra's going to have to serve it. And I think from a player perspective, you do want to get it over. It's why Nolan decided to do it when he did. Just get it in the past and move on. Unfortunately, the Rockies in his absence played very well, winning 3 out of the 5 ball games.
Just think that unknown. That's what eats at you. But I don't blame Gerardo for appealing and just saying, hey, they knock it down 1 game. It's better than 4.
Well, last year, paying attention to Gerardo, mechanically, just doesn't look quite as comfortable. We saw a lot of balls hit opposite field for Gerardo. We just haven't seen the good aggressive swing where he's driving the ball. See him spin out a little bit, front side leaking. Sometimes it just takes an at-bat like this against a left-on-left for a lefty to get that front shoulder to feel closed. It's what we saw with Ryan McMahon earlier tonight. You get one of these at-bats where you're forced to keep the hip in, get on time.
It's almost like it's automatic after that. You're not thinking about all the mechanics. See ball, hit ball.
Still 1-2 on Parra. And that is shot through the 5.5 hole for a knock.
There he goes, Billy.
Sometimes that's all it takes. And that's not his best swing. We know that. He found a hole. But at least from a hitting standpoint, you're looking for confidence.
Right.
You're looking for results. I'd rather take one of those than a line out.
Heck yeah. Any day of the week. They never even out, but you'll take those when you're going through that where you mechanically your hips coming out, as you said. Well, just give me one of those scratch hits.
Trevor Story hit by a pitch in the first. Struck out looking and grounded into a 6-4-3 double play. Third inning of work for Mike Montgomery. Hendricks went 5 innings, allowed 3 runs on 5 hits, didn't walk anybody. He struck out 6. Two and 0.
Rain's starting to pick up even more now.
This skips away, and now Nolan is out. He waited, and then he glanced and saw that Parra was coming because Parra read that he was going to go. And that hesitation cost Nolan. He's thrown out by Contreras.
He starts to go, and then he stops. By that time, it was too late. Easy throw for Contreras, maybe 75-foot throw to third.
He's lucky Chris Bryant's 6'5". Be able to stretch and reach and grab that ball.
And Story walks. Ian Desmond, nothing for 3 tonight. Imagine if you're Desi, you take this at bat, try to get something going with your swing where you can take that into tomorrow.
It's just timing, and I can see it, and results will tell you that it's timing. When you have a ground ball rate at nearly 70%, it's telling you you're hitting the top of the ball.
Rockies had a couple hits, no runs in the inning. As we go to the ninth, it's 15-4 Chicago.
for that poncho to turn inside out for some rally ball.
Yeah, they're going to need it.
Yikes, just like the weather tonight, the Rockies play very sloppy in the field.
Yeah, it boils down to the number 10. What do I mean by that? 3 wild pitches, 2 extra outs, and 5 out of 6 leadoff hitters on in the first 6 innings. It's not really a formula for winning baseball.
No, it is not. We have lots coming up in the Toyota post-game show, and for now, we'll send it back to you guys.
So I'm going to take you on a little story tour right now. New first base coach for the Chicago Cubs, Will Venable, has a personal connection to Jenny and her husband, Steve. Now, Will Venable was roommates with Steve Kavanaugh's or Steve Spurgeon's college roommate.
Okay. He took her name.
And over
They were not roommates. This story's gone downhill.
Yes, they were. This is the story from Steve. Relax.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
So Steve and Will used to train in the offseason before spring training, and over time, when Steve decided to move on from baseball, he would hang out with Will Venable. And eventually, Will and his wife introduced Steve to Jenny.
It is true. That part of the story is true.
Matchmaker.
So Jenny, you have Will to blame for all of this, huh?
That's right. Yeah, Will got me in this pickle. No, I have Will to thank for all this. Actually, Will's wife. Let's be honest. It's always the lady.
That's down the first base line for Almora Jr. He has his 4th hit of the night. One more note on Will Venable, because we were talking about this earlier. Ivy Leaguers who have played in the big leagues. Well, Will Venable played at Princeton. In fact, Will, such a gifted athlete, he played baseball and basketball at Princeton.
That's what you got to trust, right? The resume. I mean, he went to Princeton. He's a smart guy.
Yep.
He's not going to lead me astray.
No, and in all seriousness, Will, when he played, he was one of our go-to guys. He was just a great guy.
We got his dad played in the big leagues. So.
Max, yeah. Brother played in the Canadian Football League. It's the first 4-hit game of Almora's career.
So Baez with an opportunity to have the first Cubs cycle since Mark Grace in 1993.
4 for 5 and a line out to center field. 2-run home run in the first, a single in the third, a double in the fifth, and a 2-run single in the sixth. Tyson Ross now has a no-hitter through 7 for the Padres. And remember, the Padres are the only team in Major League history without a no-hitter.
That's right. After the Mets and Santana had one, because they were the last 2.
They were the last 2 for a long period of time. The Mets one was really hard to believe because of all the great pitchers the Mets have had through their history. Got a hustle with Baez running. And a good play by Trevor to get him. 1 out, crossing to third is Almora. That'll bring up Chris Bryant. Did we mention Mike Tauchman's in center field as you
no.
As you thought would occur?
No, we mentioned that it would probably occur. We just didn't officially announce him, but Michael's in center field, taking over for Charlie.
Field line, home run distance, foul. Albuquerque's beating Tacoma tonight in the 5th inning in Tacoma, Washington. David Dahl in that game has a run-scoring double, 1 for 3. He's back on the field. He had a He had a stint on the 7-day disabled list with a stomach ailment, so it's good to have Dahl back in there. Ramel Tapia has a couple hits tonight. Noel Cuevas is 1 for 3. He's hit just under 350. You know who they faced tonight for Tacoma? Initially, Christian Bergman.
Really?
Yeah.
That's Seattle's farm system then.
Yep.
AAA club.
That sums up the whole evening. Right there. Never turned foul. Bryant gets an infield hit and an RBI.
Swinging bunt. Wet grass. That actually started in foul territory and then came back to fair territory. You're just thinking that's got to go foul, and instead it goes 3 feet fair off the bag.
Strike on Anthony Rizzo. He has an RBI tonight, but no hits. 0 for 4 and a walk. RBI came on a ground out in the 5th inning to the right side.
Talking about the heavenly bed from Weston, who you're not going to get an endorsement deal.
Which I really love those beds too. They're amazing.
Nice comeback.
I love them.
Right,
so
exactly.
much.
What Joe Madden tried to say is might not necessarily be the bed. It's the number of swings that he was taking.
He's one of those guys, maybe more than anybody I can think of off the top of my head in baseball. He hangs right over the heart of the plate with his hands. He gets hit more than anybody in baseball too. I mean, he is right on the plate.
The guy that I played with that stood like his back foot was right there was Brian Downing.
And that double play will get the Rockies off the field in the 9th. That's a 5-6-3 double play. Another run for the Cubs, 16-4. Trying to stay dry. He's going to be on the mound tomorrow against Yu Darvish, who's had a rough go of it so far since joining the Cubs in the offseason. He, of course, was a free agent. He's 0-1 with a 6 ERA. That's the pitching matchup tomorrow evening here at Coors Field. In the bottom of the 9th, Ryan McMahon will lead it off. Justin Wilson takes over after 3 innings of Mike Montgomery.
Justin has some big league time with the Pirates and a couple years there, Yankees, Tigers, and last couple years with the Cubs.
McMahon sliced a base hit to left his last time up. Well, the Padres are going to have to wait for another night. Tyson Ross's bid for a no-hitter broken up in the 8th inning.
And so did the shutout.
Oh, that's even worse. For him personally.
This ball's driven to left center field with authority. And that splits the gap. Ryan McMahon with a double. Swinging the bat better the last few days.
Where have all of his hits gone? Left center, left field. They're just. We saw a lot of strikeouts, a lot of rollovers early on in the season. This time he stays on the big overhand curveball. Good separation between the hands and the feet.
Well, it goes back to the bat against Montgomery. It's a left on left. It forces you to keep your shoulder in, your hips in. Hopefully he'll transfer over for pinch hitter Tony Walters as well.
One strike on Tony. Antonio Senzatello went 2 innings. If you keep a book, 4 runs, 6 hits, a strikeout and a walk tonight for Senzatello.
Some ERAs got beat up tonight for the Rockies. Sean Gray's, as I said earlier, 675. Brian Shaw's up to 784, and Antonio's up to 953.
Good take, 3-2.
I think I've told the story before about how the Rockies in the bullpen for years, there used to be a wall, and it was signed by different members of the Rockies bullpen throughout the years, and it would have lines, a third of an inning, 5 runs, 5 hits, and signed by many guys that have had great careers. And it was just kind of acknowledging, look, you're going to get dinged up sometimes. That's a badge of honor you wear.
This is part of being a pitcher too.
Tony draws a walk, 2 on. Sit back and go. Remember that rainy, frigid night at Coors Field where the Rockies were down a dozen in the 9th, and then all of a sudden,
Hey, Cubs were down by what, 8 or 9 the other day
against the Atlanta Braves, and they scored 9 in the 8th.
That's
with
right,
3 hits. Have you
in
ever
the
heard?
rain too.
Have you ever heard of such a thing?
No.
Outside of a Little League game?
That's what I was going to say. Not at the local AYL game.
DJ is 1 for 4 in an RBI.
So a 12-run ninth.
Yeah.
No, you need a 13-run ninth.
Yeah,
13 runs.
There you don't want to play the next Go to the 10. Just if you're going to come back that many, add that baker's dozen on.
As Ricky Henderson famously said, Ricky's not playing extra innings. And this wild pitch by Wilson will have McMahon move to third, Walters to second. Yeah, the tough thing for Tyson Ross, you lose the no-hitter in the 8th, and you're going to get a no decision probably, because it was a 1-0 game and they scored a run, so it's 1-1.
The good thing is they didn't score 2 and you get the L.
That is one way of looking at it, right?
Yeah.
Cubs have had to get Luke Farrell up, who they just summoned from Omaha after the, let's say Omaha?
Iowa?
Iowa. After the injury to Eddie Butler. Wilson has walked LeMahieu. The bases are loaded, nobody out. For Iannetta.
The pitching coach for the Cubs this year, Jim Hickey, who was pitching coach for Joe Madden down in Tampa Bay. And Chris Bosio go over the winter.
Watching some of the Cubs, just watch Chris Bryant say something to Vic Carapazza about the mound, and Justin Wilson has looked at the mound several times and kicked the dirt. You know how well manicured this field is. You know, so if you're pitching in inclement weather with rain, you should be wearing plastic spikes on the mound. Not at all.
Buried a lot of pitches.
That's a hard shot at Bryant. He's turned it into a double play. Off the bat, I thought that was going to get down the left field line. 2 outs, a run scores.
Chris Bryant made a nice play on that wet grass too, because the ball off the grass will slide and skip more than it'll hop up to you. You really have to judge that hop, but then he steps on third with his right foot across the body to Rizzo for the double play.
Mike Tachman came into center field last inning. He'll get his first at bat. 2 on top. Here's the 1-2. 2-2. $16 runs, 18 hits tonight for Chicago. Rockies 5 runs, 11 hits.
Top 2 guys in the lineup for the Cubs have 8 hits.
It's usually a sign of success for your team, right? 2-2. And Topman swings and misses. And the ugly night for the Rockies is over. 16-5. The Cubs have won it. The winning pitcher's Hendricks. He's 1-1. John Gray takes the loss. He's now 1-4. The Rockies have lost 5 of their first 7 at home. When we come back, we will take you to the Toyota postgame show with Jenny. Again, the final score: Chicago over the Rockies tonight, 16-5.